Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. This is episode 95. I'm Mark,
And I'm Jasmine.
and new episodes are mostly every Wednesday. Unfortunately, last week we were not able to deliver you your Geeks Unleashed content as unfortunately Jasmine wasn't very well.
Was not after 2+ years of being super careful. One work event got me, and I ended up with COVID, and I was down for the count last week. So we ended up taking another week off, feeling better. Still not 100%, but here we are.
You could have eaten so much spicy food last week and just never have known.
Yeah. So that part is like really weird because like there was one day where, or actually it was like 3 days where it's like I brushed my teeth and I could not taste the toothpaste at all. Like you can't taste the toothpaste when I was in the shower, like could not smell the shampoo, could not smell the body wash. It was just the weirdest thing in the world. So the senses have started to come back. They're still not at 100%, but they are better than before. At least I can taste what I'm eating now.
That's good. That's good news.
Yeah. Thankfully, because I've talked to some people, some of my friends have had it. I was pretty much like the last holdout in my group. And there's one of my friends who lost their sense of taste for like a year. So I feel pretty lucky that mine came back after just 3 days.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad that you're feeling better and obviously have a voice. I spoke to you a couple of days ago and you were a lot better than I thought you would be.
Yeah. The voice was the first thing to come back, but I only had a fever for one night, thankfully. And then pretty much after that, it's just the cough. I still have a cough, but everything else seems to be subsiding. So thankfully, very, very grateful. It seems to have been a mild case, but I still ended up missing a week of work. And I might miss a bit more work because I retested this morning and I am still positive. So we'll see.
What are you gonna
do? What can you do? I ordered grocery delivery for the first time. So that was interesting. So can't even go to the grocery store. So it takes some getting used to. I'm not a fan. Not that anybody is a fan, but you know.
Probably. I suppose like who's a fan of getting ill in general?
Right. Yeah.
Colds, coughs, other fatal diseases that are not any of those COVID or cold or flu-like symptoms.
Yeah. I mean, got the vaccine and the first booster, so hopefully that helped. I didn't have as many some people get like a lot of like lung problems. And I usually I have asthma, but I never had to use my inhaler, so that was exciting, if you can call it that. I'm grateful that it wasn't more severe, and since I live alone, it's not like I got anyone else sick either, so that's good too. So
it's a good thing it can't pass through technology.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, I don't think that's possible with anything, but
so that's my story. Feeling better. Anyway.
Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you all for coming back to continue our Harry Potter marathon as we run up to episode 100. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you know when we upload new content. And if you were listening on your favorite podcast platform, we thank you for that as well. And we would also appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or Spotify.
Anywhere you like, really. So, or all of them. Just go through it. Just do one, may as well carry on doing all of them. Anyway, on this week's episode, we're going to be carrying on Harry Potter, as Jasmine said. So we're going to be looking at the 4th Harry Potter movie in our run-up to our 100th episode.
Oh, I can't believe it. This is episode 95.
Episode 95 is crazy. Yeah, so about 2.5 years.
Wow.
Of running Geeks Unleashed. I think we would have got it sooner if we hadn't taken some breaks earlier in the year. So but I don't think much sooner. I think we would have got here about April.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that this is a good thing because I am on track to also have lost 100 pounds by the time we get to episode 100. So I need some more time. So we're there. I'm at 98. I'm 2 pounds away from hitting it. So
oh, there you go. Hopefully you hit it before episode 100.
Yeah, hopefully.
maybe this week, if you're not like appetite isn't fully restored from COVID.
Oh, right. I should take advantage.
Okay, so we're going to jump straight into news, and we'll just run a theme here. So Scream, Courtney Cox has confirmed that Gale Weathers will be returning for Scream 6. So following off the back of our previous episode where Neve Campbell said she's not getting the money, she's not coming back. She said obviously they're not giving her the financial reward she deserves, that she sort of carried the Scream brand.
She is the face of the franchise. Give the woman what she wants.
Exactly. Courtney Cox is back. So
yep, she flat out said, "Look, man, Gale Weathers didn't die in Scream 5, so I'll be back. Don't worry."
So what I wonder is, like, if they're only going to bring back one legacy character, so obviously Dewey's dead.
Yeah.
Will Courtney survive the next movie? Because
they're gonna have to work it out with Neve. They're gonna have to.
Oh yeah, this is 100% a contractual. What you call it? A stalemate. Yeah. So she's like, what? Like, they're obviously having closed door discussions. She's reached a point where, like, okay, we're not getting anywhere. So I'm just going to tell the public, and then you lot are all going to be hated. Let's all know. We all know you're going to pay me the cash. So whatever it is she wants, they're obviously going to pay her it.
Yeah, as well they should.
Or she won't be in it, but they'll get her back for the following movie, which would be weird. But
that'd be super weird.
Or they'll do something where they cameo her in. Like, maybe they come up with a deal and says, okay, fine, we'll pay you X to be in like 2 days worth of shooting. Like, and maybe she'll be in like the final moments or something like that. So
maybe.
But I don't know. I think if Gale Weathers is the only legacy character, I don't think she'll die.
Yeah. Well, but don't forget they're bringing Kirby back. Kirby's not legacy, but she is a veteran of the franchise.
Yeah. I think that if Neve Campbell doesn't come back, Gale will survive. I think if Neve Campbell does come back, Gale could potentially get it next.
Dun.
That's my thoughts. I think if Neve Campbell comes back, then Gale Weathers
might get hit by a ghost face, huh?
Yeah, that's my bet. If we see Neve Campbell, if Neve Campbell comes back, I reckon Gale Weathers is going to get it.
Okay, all right.
That's my thoughts.
I don't know about that. I think
you think she'll survive either way then?
Yeah, because I think that they always had like a second trilogy planned. So I think, well, actually, this would be the final film, wouldn't it?
No, so I think we had Scream 1 to 3. Scream 4 obviously was meant to be the start of a new trilogy. That obviously didn't lead to one. So I think what we're seeing is with Scream, the previous Scream that came out this year, that I think is the start of a trilogy, like a new trilogy.
Oh, you think 6 is the beginning? I mean, 5. Yeah, 5. So 5, 6, 7. That's what I was thinking too. So if there is a Scream 7 eventually coming down the pipeline, I think 7 is the one where they go balls to the wall and get rid of everyone to kind of put an end to this once and for all.
Yeah, I think they would kill Neve off in the 7th film,
which would be kind of sad because at this point now we've learned that she has a family and kids and stuff. So
yeah, I think. Well, yeah, but then I guess then that's a setup for maybe 20 years from now.
Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, no plot details or anything yet, but so far just 2 people have been confirmed that they are going to be in Scream 6, and that's Hayden Panettiere and Courtney Cox.
Yeah, no franchise ever dies, does it? So, kill Neve off now. We'll see the benefits later.
Yeah. So. I mean, and who says that this one or 7 would be the last one? I mean, Fast and Furious is working on number 10 and in number 9 they went to space.
And I mean, they killed Han off and they brought Han back. So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You could kill Neve off in 7 and bring her back in 9, or 10.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why?
Do you know what would be a cool move? Is killing Neve off in 7 in a way in which you think, in a way in which it's kind of like, is there a body? And then like in the final Scream, maybe Scream 15 or however many they go on for, like, you know, Nev turns out to be the final Ghostface. Like, that would be cool.
I really think that that's how the franchise should end. Like, I think if this is not the last one, then I think this movie should set it up to where we have another round of like these copycat asshole killers, and by the final film, if Gale and Nev, or if Gale and Sydney are still alive, then I think Gale and Sydney should just be like, you know what? I am sick of this shit. Like, we are doing this one last time, and we are going to end this for good. And they kind of like collectively go on a rampage as Ghostface, and they're the ones that wind up like ending the franchise. So the whole thing would come full circle.
I think it would be quite a cool reveal to have Nev be the final Ghostface. I don't know if I could. I don't think I could see Courtney Cox do it being Ghostface, but I could see Nev becoming Ghostface.
Yeah. Ooh, especially if they brought Stu back. I mean, because like Stu died, like we saw the TV fall on him, but he didn't get shot. So like, I think really dead.
Even the actor who plays Stu wants to come back. Even his theory is that he comes back.
Yeah, so, I love Matthew.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right.
Just Scream.
So next bit of news, HBO has confirmed. Well, HBO has confirmed. It has been confirmed that Kit Harington is going to be reprising his role as Jon Snow in a Game of Thrones spinoff. I should say another Game of Thrones spinoff. No real details yet, nothing plot wise, but it has definitely been put out there that Kit Harington is in the works to do this. And when the actress who plays Daenerys, what is her name? Emilia Clarke.
Yeah.
Was asked if she would come back. She was like, nah, I'm done. I'm pretty sure my character has had an ending, and I am done with Game of Thrones.
Well, her character's dead. I know. Again, I know we joked about like people coming back, but she's pretty much gone now. So.
Yeah, thanks to Jon Snow.
Yeah, so it would undermine that ending to then bring her back. I can imagine Emilia Clarke probably would want to be done with the show though. Like, it surprises me that Kit Harington's coming back.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm really interested in his story, especially the way that he dogged my girl at the very end. I don't know. I don't really care. I think I would watch the other prequel series that is about the Targaryens and all of the stuff before the events of Game of Thrones. Like, that might be a little bit interesting, but I don't really know that I'm so interested in watching Jon Snow like try to figure this shit out.
No, so when I heard about this, I was like, I'm not excited by this in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I don't know what their thoughts are on a spin-off, but I'm really hoping it's kind of like maybe more like a limited series rather than an ongoing thing.
Yeah, like a one series and one season and done kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even if they said, okay, it's going to be like an event thing, like the Walking Dead World of Tomorrow or whatever it's called. No, the World Beyond, sorry, it was called. Like, even if they said it was 2 seasons, like, okay, we're going to do 8 episode 2 seasons, Jon Snow, whatever they want to call it, Game of Thrones, Jon Snow, whatever, Snows Again, so I don't know.
Snows Again. That sounds like a Die Hard film. Jon Snow snows again.
Something like that. But like, if they or the other thing is, if they did like maybe a collection of TV movies, like 3 or 4 TV movies, like spaced, they could even do it as a, like a released out throughout 1 year, like every quarter release a TV movie just for 1 year. Like, HBO would probably, I would imagine do pretty well if they release 4 TV movies over a case of 12 months, or even just stuck them at the cinema for a limited run. Like, I'm not interested in 8 years of Jon Snow. Like, and
nobody is.
I do think though, if they did a Jon Snow ongoing, they would have to get him off the bloody wall, off the Night's Watch, off the wall or whatever. You know, you couldn't have him stuck on the Night's Watch for the rest of his life. But I do hope they kind of undo that. I do think sending him off, spend the rest of his life on the Night's Watch was a bit crap. Like nobody wanted that. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like I just don't want anything long term. It's nice to follow up characters. I do like it sometimes when shows go back and revisit a character, but I would much prefer it to be a shorter thing.
Yeah, so, a mini series or a limited run. I can get behind that maybe. But I just think Jon Snow is one of the more boring characters of all of the people that we got to know over the course of Game of Thrones. Like, why him? Why would you pick him to lead a spinoff?
I mean, I'd love to know when they sat around discussing spin-offs, who did they approach other people?
Yeah.
Is it a bit like Friends, you know, where in the end only Joey was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, did they approach a lot of other people first?
Oh, that's a good question. I would have been really interested if they decided that they wanted to follow Sansa and Arya a bit more, or if they had wanted to do something with Tyrion. I loved Tyrion's character throughout the entire run of Game of Thrones. Probably more so just because of the way that Peter Dinklage brought so much to the character, but like Tyrion was always interesting, so he would have been an interesting character to kind of keep up with, especially since his whole freaking family like ate it.
Gone. Yeah, gone. They're all gone. He was such a great character.
Yeah.
I don't think is with the Night's Watch though, because it would be. I mean, even if it was set a couple of years after, all those characters would still be around. Yeah. I mean, they may not like want to be in it regularly, but you could have cameos. But yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe they approached other people and they were like, no, we're done with Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
And then in the end, Kit Harington was like, how much?
Yeah, he was like, I'll do it. I mean, my Eternals character is not doing so hot, so yeah, I'll do Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I'm sure he's got it sorted with Marvel stuff, and like, you know, I'm sure his mortgage is paid off.
Well, apparently we might see him in Blade, so who knows?
Yeah, like we can buy 2 houses now. So. Anyway, we'll finish our news there, and I'd like to move on to the bit of the show that I quite like. What have we both been watching or reading or playing or listening to? I only say listening to because I was randomly listening to some country music about an hour ago on the way back from the shop before we started recording.
Talk to me about this country music, Mark. What kind of country music are you listening to?
Oh no! Like I'm not any. Do you know the weird thing is, like, because I don't really know, because I'm in England obviously, and I don't know much about country music at all. So I can't. Sometimes I'll listen to stuff and I have no idea who it is. So actually, I did know who it was today because basically I just put it on random, and it's an actress, a TV actress, Lucy Hale. There was literally a couple of tracks came on while I was driving.
Lucy Hale makes country music.
She made a country album. Yeah, I looked it up. Like, she made a country album years ago because I was like, oh, Lucy Hale, I recognize that name. And
of course you do.
And and I was like, looked it up and I was like, oh, pretty nice. And but anyway, like, I thought it was quite cool. I thought I quite liked it. But no, a lot of it I don't know who it is, but I recognized her name in the car, and I sort of suddenly thought, oh, I could talk about this on the episode. Like, I wasn't actually planning to, but like,
you brought up country music, and as a Texan, let me tell you, I listened to my fair share of country music. Fun fact: country music was actually the first genre that I got into as a kid before I ever started listening to like pop or hip hop or anything else.
I can imagine. Like, no, I don't know much about country music at all, but like, I like, sometimes I'll just put it on as I'm driving, if just to have a bit of a change of music. And one of the things, country music always sounds quite happy to me. So
country music always sounds happy to you?
No, like, they don't. It's quite, I don't know. I mean, some of it is like sad, but like, it doesn't ever sound depressing. Like it doesn't.
Okay.
I think it does have sort of more of a rhythm to it, I find. Like maybe I've not listened to enough of it to know. Maybe there's a few real sad songs out there. But like it just, it always sounds quite upbeat as you're driving, I find. So I don't like massively like listen to it for like 2 hour stints. I might just put it on if I'm like, I just need a change of what I'm listening to, because we don't really get it on the radio over here. So
yeah, I imagine you wouldn't.
No. So like, anyway, TV wise, I've just finished season 3 of Legacy, which is the Vampire Diaries spin-off on the CW. I'd kind of fallen behind on it. It was okay. I love the Vampire Diaries. I'm a huge fan of that. The originals I really liked as well. The originals was very much like when they span off Angel from Buffy. The originals was much more like adult level, or it was like adult characters. There was nobody was studying. Legacies is okay. I was kind of getting a bit bored of Villain of the Week. But I've just started season 4 of Legacies, and I kind of just want to get it finished now, because I've heard obviously CW culled that show along with about 90% of their shows. And I've already started to hear bits and pieces about how it ended and season 5 plans. So I'm trying to work my way through that. And that's kind of what I've been watching. But I did pick up my PlayStation Joypad a couple of days ago, and I decided that I'm going to finish Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS4. And
I've been
playing that the last couple of days, and it's cool. I was playing it this morning, and my daughter was sitting next to me, and we were like, "How cool is that, Lex?" Like, we were right on the corner of Central Park, and she was like, "Oh, that's where Central Park Zoo is." And I was like, "How cool is it that my 8-year-old has been to Central Park?" Like,
yeah.
And actually, we saw you that day before we went to Central Park. So I that's one of the things I love about the Spider-Man games, is that I've actually been to New York, and like it's so cool to have to swing around New York. Although I couldn't find Central Park Zoo in Central Park, so I'm thinking they've admitted it. So I wonder if they do leave some things out. I mean, I'll go back and have a look, but I do love playing Miles Morales.
Yeah.
You haven't played the Spider-Man games, have you?
No,
I think you'd like them. So.
I need to pick them up. I finally fixed my Xbox a few weeks ago. So I've been back on my Xbox, but I have not turned my PS4 on.
I think you'd like Spider-Man. I think you'd probably.
Oh, yeah. I think I would too.
Yeah. The Spider-Man game I really love, the one with Peter Parker, but no, I really like the Miles Morales one as well. To be honest, the dynamics of it are so similar to Peter Parker's version. But yeah, apparently Spider-Man 2 is going to be PS5 only, which I'm not overly joyed about. So
yeah,
no, I'm not keen on that. But yeah, no, Miles Morales is pretty cool. I like his little electric punch that he has as well. That's pretty good. So one of the things I like about Miles Morales is he's got the power to turn invisible. So I think that's pretty cool. We can't stay invisible for ages, so you probably get about maybe 20 seconds of invisibility.
Yeah.
So
that's just enough to sneak in and sneak out.
Yeah. So there's a couple of times where they make it part of the thing where he has to, say, go down to a crime scene and like overhear some policemen's conversations, or he has to go like down to the docks and there's like groups of villains throughout, and he'll have to go and like stand next to them and listen to their conversation. And strangely enough, the invisibility lasts a little bit longer because obviously it's part of that whole thing. But like, no, I quite like it. It's cool. Like, I like the fact that Miles has slightly different powers to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So still has web fluid, so like none of them are like Tobey Maguire. But,
that was one of my favorite little sequences in No Way Home, when they're all comparing web, and Toby is the only one that's like, no, it comes out of my arm, and they're like, what do you mean it comes out of your arm? Like it comes out of your body?
And then they're like, does it come out of anywhere else? Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, the Miles Morales game, I'm loving it. I bought it around this time last year. Played it for like 20 minutes or something, put it down, and I kind of forgot about it. And I was like, right, I'm going to stick at this. I do need to go back to The Last of Us and Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, which I've got as well. But I thought I need to stick with Miles Morales. At least with Miles Morales, I can play it in the day when the kids are around. So like Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, I can play during the day, but I'm going to stick with Miles Morales.
All right. Well,
what about you? You've been obviously
perched up on the couch. So all I've been doing is like binge watching stuff, and I had been on an anime kick for a little while. Then I was on like this series of watching Thai television, and now I have fallen down the rabbit hole of Korean dramas on Netflix. And I think in the week that I've been sick, I've probably watched. Last night I finished my 5th K drama. So I've binge watched 5 K dramas, all 16 episodes each in the past week.
Wow.
But I really enjoyed them. Some of them were based on like webtoons, and I'm a big fan of like the Korean webtoons. So it's been fun. They're all like rom-coms. They're all kind of silly, really easy to kind of get into. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. I think of all of the ones that I watched, there's one called Business Proposal that I probably enjoyed the best. And then the one that I finished yesterday was Cinderella and the Four Knights, and I enjoyed that one as well. But yeah, just fell down the Korean drama rabbit hole on Netflix. Netflix algorithm got me. It's like, oh, you watch this? Maybe you'll like this. I'm like, okay, I'll try it.
Maybe you'll like this.
Yeah, maybe you'll like this. So I'm on my 4th. Maybe I'll like this episode or series. So who knows what I'll start today.
It's a like Korean version of Friends.
Yeah. And one of my friends was like, so do you watch them dubbed or do you watch them subtitles? And I was like, no, I watch subtitles. What do you mean dubbed? And they were like, so you've read 5 series? And I was like, yeah. But like, to me, it doesn't feel like that. Like, I'm reading, but like, it didn't feel like a chore. I guess I'm just really used to watching things with subtitles. So
I'm not a big fan of things with subtitles because I feel like when I'm watching TV, I want to relax. To read, and to me, the TV doesn't feel like it's relaxing. It's like I'm spending all day working, like I'm in front of a screen, I'm clearly reading, like or talking to people, whatever. By the time I sit down, I'm like, oh, I need to just watch, if I'm going to watch, like I do struggle with anything with subtitles on, because I just think like, it's my relaxing time now.
Yeah, it does require more brain power. Like I can't play on my phone or goof off when I'm watching stuff that have subtitles. But I don't know. I just like get into a rhythm, and it doesn't bother me after a while. But it's harder when you're watching like action-packed stuff, because then you like tend to miss some of the action because you're reading the subtitles. But like with rom-com stuff, I don't feel like I'm missing out on much.
I do hate that with subtitles though. If you just look away from the screen for like a split second, you're like, oh, what'd they say? I have to put it back. Like, or even if the subtitles in the middle of something that doesn't have subtitles. So that's to me a bit weird. So but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, well, cheers for sharing. I haven't really read much comics actually. I have actually read a couple of Miles Morales comics from the current run. I read the first 4 issues.
Hopefully you didn't read that really weird one about what if Miles was Thor.
I have not read the What If series. Why, have you read it?
No, but it's gotten a lot of backlash because of all of the wild stereotypes that were written into it, because it's one of the first Miles books in the last few years that's not written by a Black author. So a lot of the dialogue comes off as disingenuous. And yeah, it's been catching hell since it came out last week.
No, I saw that little mini series because it's really weird, because they're doing like a Gwen kind of one very similar at the moment, where Gwen is going back and forth through her timeline of her world, meeting sort of like there's like a Gwen Thor and all this kind of stuff. And then really weirdly at the same time they're doing a what if Miles Morales was Thor and a what if Miles Morales, and I just thought, how weird is that they're running 2 miniseries at the same time of Miles and Gwen that are literally fairly similar to each other. So I read the first 2 issues of the Gwen, I think it's called Gwenverse, and They're so bad, honestly, so awful. The first issue I read the whole way through. The second one, I just found myself just turning pages as I was going.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a really, really awful book. So I haven't carried on with it. I think it was like 5 or 6 issues it was meant to be. And I was like, no, I'm not buying it anymore.
Yeah. You're like, I'm tapping out, I'm done.
No, and because of that, I was like, I'm not even going to pick up that What If Miles Morales book at all.
Yeah, apparently it's not worth picking up. I haven't read it. I flipped through I want to say I flipped through like some preview pages, but yeah, I was definitely like, I like the graffiti and stuff. I like the way that they put the Miles like signature twist on the art, but the dialogue was very cringy. Like very cringy. Like, why is Miles Morales holding Mjolnir quoting Tupac? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's very bizarre. Why are we doing this?
I think one of the things that sort of always worried me, because I've always, tonight, years ago, I wanted to, well, obviously I've always loved comics since I was like 14. When I was a lot younger, I had this like, I had this whole thing, you know, like every 14-year-old, I'd love to write comics or draw them or whatever. And even now, like if someone said, oh, do you fancy coming? I mean, I'm not a writer, but if I could like come write a comic, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But I think it would always worry me that like, if I was to write, say, Spider-Man, or even the Miles Morales Spider-Man, or the Peter Parker one. So the Peter Parker one more, I'm thinking, because he's quite, obviously a lot of his lines are quite witty as he's fighting. I'm not exactly saying that I don't think I'm funny, but I don't think I've got those quick one-liners that Peter Parker delivers.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, well, how would I write Peter Parker? Because I'm not a particularly one-liner funny guy. I guess sometimes when I make jokes, they're in the moment, and I can imagine it must be quite hard to write characters like that, and so you'd want to get it right. So I guess taking that whole Miles Morales position, I'm a white guy put in charge of writing a black teenage boy. I think is he in Brooklyn? I think his character's from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I think so. Either way,
no, he's in Queens. He's in Queens.
No. Peter Parker's in Queens, and I think he's in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure because I read the first 4 issues of the other run, and I'm pretty sure that was actually a reference that they made, and he goes, no, Queens is the other guy. I remember him saying Queens is the other. Either way, I've never lived in Queens. I've never lived in Brooklyn. And I just think like, you know, I've forgotten the name of the author of the new Superman Kal-El book, the one, he's the Australian guy. Do you know what I mean? Oh, that's gonna annoy me. But either way, what I'm thinking is like, hold on, I've got to look this up now.
I think like you have to understand like
Tom Taylor,
what the origins of the character are, even if you can't relate to it. Like, I like, for example, like when it comes to writing fan fiction, like depending on the kind of stuff that you're writing, like sometimes people get certain characters better than they get other characters, and it's just a matter of being able to kind of relate to them. So like you might not be able to write Miles Morales, but like you probably do well with like Peter Parker or even Ben Reilly because you like those characters so much.
Yeah. No, what I was gonna say, so Tom Taylor lives in Australia. I've no idea if he's been to Queens or whatever. Obviously he doesn't write those, but he's writing Superman Son of Kal-El at the moment. And one of the things that's quite good for him, he lives in Australia, so he's writing about a fictional character in a fiction, you know, Metropolis is a fictional city. So that's great. You really don't have to do any real background. I mean, and also Superman's been around since like the 40s.
Yeah.
They're never going to expect Tom Taylor to do, you know, just under 80 years of research. So and I'm assuming that probably DC hires some people that go, you know, that they can call or speak to just to fact check some stuff. Like, so, you know, and also Jonathan Kent is a fairly new character, been around, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, and they've just made him an adult. Anyway, so like he, you know, it's quite a fortunate position as a writer to be able to write about Superboy, basically, well, Superman he goes by, because he doesn't have to worry too much about the city. The character's fairly new. The background research you need to do is actually fairly minimal. But when you're coming into characters like Superman, long established, and also Superman's quite witty, where Superman, they're both quite straight laced. So I don't know. It's just my perception of how you'd write these characters. But for me, again, like you just said, for my entry into like if I was to pick these sort of characters, Peter Parker's definitely the character I'd go for. Ben Reilly, because they're white men who are probably around 30, 10 years younger than me. So I probably could fit in easier to write those characters. But could I write about probably a 16, 17-year-old boy, black boy as well? Like I would struggle massively. I would have to do a lot of research into, because I would want it to be like you just said about the What If Thor character issue. I wouldn't want to go and write something that I would then get smashed for because I have not done enough research into like, I guess it's a bit like you. If you said to me, Mark, I've going to write about Captain Britain. I've never been to England, but I'm just going to give it a bash. Like,
why not?
Marvel have called me up.
Tea and crumpets and, the Queen and just like throwing in all these random British cliches. Like everybody would be like, what the hell?
And football as well.
Yeah.
Football.
Footy.
Yeah. Like if I picked up an issue by Jasmine of Captain Britain, I'd be like, footy, he's sitting there with his tea and crumpets in his mansion. He gets a phone call from the Queen. We all get calls from the Queen.
Of course. He's watching Sky. Like, I know how this works.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd read that and I'd think there's so many cliches dropped in here. Yeah. And I'd be like, have you ever been to England? Nope.
Yeah. But okay, speaking of that though. So do you remember, this was several episodes ago, we covered that Texas Blood. And my first thought when I was reading that was like, this guy has got to be from Texas, like, because he captures the essence of small town Texas really well. And it turns out he wasn't, but he put in so much research before he wrote that series. And it really kind of showed, because it, as a Texan reading it, it definitely felt like I have been on this drive. Like I have been to this town. I have met this guy. Like these all feel like people that I have run into in my life. And for someone that is not from a place that they're writing about, like he did such a good job of capturing kind of like the essence of it. So it can be done. I imagine it is not easy and it is very cumbersome to do the proper kind of research to do it, but it can be done.
Yeah.
Writing people though still might be a bit different, but like being able to capture the essence of something by doing the right kind of research is possible.
I was thinking more around the whole established
characters.
Yeah, so like that's why I probably would rather approach writing my own. So anyway, we'll stop there and let's move on to our main event.
Yes, the meat and potatoes.
Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, 2005.
Oh, man.
Directed by Mike Newell, screenplay by Steve Kloves, obviously based on Harry Potter, by J.K. Rowling.
And it stars all of the same people as before. We get a few new faces. Some of those new faces include, we finally get Voldemort. I'm sorry, excuse me. He who must not be named in physical form, like actual functioning body. Finally, we have seen him in several different variations of being. And this is the film where we finally get Voldemort walking on his own 2 feet. Brendan Gleeson comes on as Mad-Eye Moody, and of course Gary Oldman is back as Sirius Black.
Yeah, well, obviously Gary Oldman was obviously back very briefly, but so like
not actually in Gary Oldman form, more like logs in a fire that look like Gary Oldman.
So budget was 150 million.
We're getting up there. Every film seems to be a bit more than the one before it.
So previous one was 130 million. Worldwide box office. So the previous movie made 797 million US dollars. All of this is in US dollars. And the worldwide box office for this movie made just under 900 million US dollars. So that's
chump change.
Yeah, I mean, if you think the budget they threw in was an extra 20 mil, and they made an extra 100 mil this time, so
exactly,
they're probably pretty pleased with that, I would imagine.
It's a pretty good return, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, 150 mil makes 900 mil. You can see why they make movies. So, I mean, I know they go on about the arts and all the rest of it, but it's money making, isn't it?
It's all about the Benjamins.
It's a product, and if the product doesn't make money, for instance, if they spent 150 mil and they only made 180, they probably wouldn't bother doing another one because they'd be like, no, it's not worth it. Or if they made literally 150 mil back, that probably would have been the last Harry Potter movie that got made. But yeah, ultimately, it's a product that actually does do well on its returns,
and that is just from the film. That is not from all of the merchandising that comes along with it.
So summary of the movie, again, it's a year in the life of Harry Potter, school term, kind of September to June-ish. No horrible aunties and uncles. The Dursleys are not seen this time around.
Yeah.
We start with the Quidditch World Cup, which I thought was pretty cool.
Actually, we start with the Riddle estate.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, then we move into the Quidditch World Cup, and then we end up at school. Yeah. And but obviously the sort of the crux of this film is around the
Triwizard Tournament.
Yeah, that's it. I'd gone blank then. And we have 4 contestants throughout the movie. They have to, like a bunch of people chuck their names in a Goblet of Fire. It spits out names here and there. And obviously Harry Potter's name is one of the names that gets thrown out. And then throughout the movie, we get to see all the different contests that swing around towards the end and have a nice little tie-up, and sort of the movie ends with everybody going off their separate ways. We'll obviously break down.
Not everybody, but
not everybody, but yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so I think let's jump into
now first we got the fun facts.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. I was going to say jump into the fun facts.
So these fun facts all kind of revolve around money and contracts and contractual obligations. Mike Newell, this is his first time in the director's chair for the Harry Potter franchise. And do you want to guess how much he was paid to direct this 4th film? If you had to guess.
I don't know, 200,000.
No, it's a little bit more than that.
$1 million?
Yes, that's it though. Okay. 1 million. When Chris Columbus made 12 for the first film.
Wow.
So, Mike, hopefully, as this franchise goes on, you got yourself a better agent, because, buddy, you left a whole lot of money on the table when you only made $1 million to direct this film.
That's crazy. Also, they got 12. Chris Columbus got 12 million for the first movie.
I'm sorry, 10 million. 10
million, okay.
So, chump change, right? Like 10 million, 12 million. Nah. But still, yes, Chris Columbus made $10 million to direct the first film. Meanwhile, Mike Newell and the 4th film gets $1 million. Also, contractually, the Dursleys, as you mentioned, are not. This is the first film in the franchise so far where we don't have the Dursleys at the beginning of the movie. That was because all 3 of the Dursley actors requested more money, and Warner Brothers said nope. And because Warner Brothers said no, we have no Dursleys, which is kind of a bummer, because the opening sequence in the book for this 4th one is one of the funniest, I think. It's one of the ones that I remember the most. And it was when the Weasleys actually come and visit the Dursleys.
Oh, really?
To pick up Harry to take him with them as they go to the Quidditch World Cup. Yeah, it was interesting. Molly Weasley meeting Petunia Dursley. So it's a bummer that we didn't get that sequence. But it was money. Warner Brothers told the Dursleys, nah, bruh, we're not going to give you the money that you're asking for. So therefore, that's why we have no Dursleys. And when we open with Harry Potter, he is already at the Weasley house.
Yeah.
Also, another contractual thingy. So Percy, which Mark and I were having a conversation about the Weasley family, Percy and Charlie, before we started recording. But Percy, who previously was head boy in the last film. Now, Percy, the actor who plays Percy, is at this point contractually obligated for 4 Harry Potter films. He did have a significant role in the books in this 4th book. But because the 4th book was twice as thick as the 3rd book, Warner Brothers cut a lot out to make this movie nice and tight. And they ended up cutting out all of Percy's, they shortened a lot of Percy's scenes. And so the actor himself was like, if I'm only contractually obligated for 4 films and this one, the role is really small, like I'm just gonna sit this one out and like I'll see y'all in number 5. And so that's what he did. So that's why we don't get Percy. And Percy and Charlie, I think, are kind of important, especially when it comes to the dragon sequence. And all of that, the whole thing with the dragons, because I think Charlie is the one that works with the dragons in the first place. So
I love the dragons in this movie, actually, the little ones.
Oh my gosh, the little ones, I almost picked them as like my favorite magical item, the tiny little dragons. They're so cute.
Okay, so like obviously we're 4 movies in, and what's your overall thoughts on the 4th film?
This one is also the first film where we get that PG-13 rating. So clearly it is an indicator that we have stepped up the level of seriousness from the first 3.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, I did not like the 4th film. It is not as bad this time around watching it. It's not a bad film. But for some reason, I just didn't enjoy watching it as much as I did. Well, certainly not as much as 3. 3 is my favorite, but like, I just feel like the 4th film is them in their awkward teenage phase. So like everybody has bad hair. Everybody is really angsty. All of the side things and side dialogue, it's like teenagers fighting. And it's like, I don't care about this. Like, I really don't care that you guys are like hitting your puberty stride or whatever you want to call it. But like, so I found a lot of the characters to be unnecessarily annoying in this 4th film. And unnecessarily annoying in the sense that your annoyance and your behavior is not actually doing anything to drive the plot forward. So I feel like with this 4th film, a lot of the kid characters are very annoying. So for me, it was the adults that kind of carry this film. But like they do it really well. And so I think I definitely enjoyed like the teacher and the villains in this one more so than I did any of the kids.
I liked this movie. I definitely think the first 2 were okay in my mind. Like they were very much children movies, but then the actors were children, so you could definitely, I would say the first 2 are definitely family friendly, but the 3rd and definitely this film were leaning more into 17, 18, I would say 16, 17 upwards in my mind, especially with the death that happens at the movie. I keep going to call him Edward Cullen, like the movie, but also the whole scene at the end with he who should not be named coming about. It's very dark, witchcrafty. So Harry Potter, although it's magic, it's always felt like to me kind of family friendly magic, and then we've got this quite dark scene where they're like, look, blood from the enemy forcibly removed.
Yeah.
Whatever voluntarily given. It was very witchcraft, and it's quite a dark thing that you wouldn't probably want children to watch. And then they had this tiny little baby Voldemort through in a pot, and then cut and then Ralph Fiennes eventually, and it's all very dark, and it's definitely not child friendly. That last 20 minutes is very not child friendly. But anyway, I actually really liked this movie. I probably would say I enjoyed it more than the last one, to be honest with you, because the last one didn't really have a villain, so to speak. This one I did enjoy, and actually we do finally, after 4 films, we finally get to see Voldemort, and we've sort of been teased with Voldemort, and I think it was good how J.K. Rowling teased Voldemort, like in the first film, he was in the back of someone's head. We had Tom flash, a sort of a memory of Tom Riddle, and now finally we actually get Voldemort in the flesh. I love the whole idea of this Triwizard Cup, the Quidditch World Cup as well. I think it was great to get more into that sort of magical world, and it made me curious about what else is out there around the world, that we don't know about. But no, I enjoyed it, and I think I did not enjoy any of Ron at all. I thought Ron was probably
he was the most insufferable.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was written in such an unbearable way. Like it just makes me really, as time goes on, resent how him and Hermione get together. In honesty, I still to this day do not get how Harry and Hermione didn't get together. I just don't get it. I know it was something that J.K. Rowling has kind of admitted. I think I read somewhere that she admitted that probably they should have got together, Harry and Hermione, but it was kind of like I think an idyllic dream of hers or something, that somebody like Ron would get Hermione. I just don't see it. Just don't get it at all. He's so horrible to Hermione.
Stupid to be with Hermione. Just too stupid.
The way Hermione is with Harry, it just seems to me that she likes Harry. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they play that up a lot. Which to their detriment doesn't play out so well by the time we get to 6 and 7, 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think even I remember from the later books, films, sorry, it comes across that she's so connected to Harry. I just they should have changed that ending from the books, although there would have been probably outcry, but I don't know, I did really enjoy the film. I think it was great. I loved even the sort of mystery elements about the I've forgotten what it was called, the something juice.
The polyjuice.
The polyjuice, I love that. I love that little throwaway line, the polyjuice, whatever, and that. So anyway, I think overall, I do like this film. I think 2 is probably my worst, actually. But so far, I would say this has got to be my favorite of this rewatch that we're doing.
Oh wow! Wow!
Yeah.
Wow! No, not me.
I know the last one was your favorite, but I think this one I liked. I love the whole Triwizard Cup thing. I think that was pretty cool idea that she had to put that in. So
yeah, that part was fun.
I mean, not fun for the people that died, but
clearly, but the whole battle royale type thing is a concept that can be redone in 1.5 million different ways, and it never feels old.
So did you have a favorite character in this movie?
Oh, absolutely. Mad-Eye Moody was my favorite. Well, fake Mad-Eye Moody was my favorite. So I don't know. Is it fair to say that my favorite character was actually Barty Jr. Disguised as Mad-Eye Moody versus actually saying my favorite character was Mad-Eye? I really just loved the chaos that Moody brought to Hogwarts. Obviously, every year we have a different Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. And so this year, the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher is Mad-Eye Moody, and he looks every bit as ridiculous as his name is. He's got this mechanical eye that moves in all different directions. He's got a metal leg. He very much looks like that dude that never says no to a fight in a back alley, and he has the scars and missing body parts to prove it. And I just loved that he didn't give a shit. And again, it's because of, Death Eater was playing that character, but him turning Malfoy into the ferret, him manipulating everybody into giving Harry Potter the information that he needed to succeed during the tournament. Just the way that he had his nose in everybody's business. I really loved that. He was so far. I mean, I loved Lupin. Lupin was probably like my all-time favorite Defense Against Dark Arts teacher, but Mad Eye would definitely be a close second, just because he's so different than most of the other teacher characters that we meet, and especially different than the people that we meet coming up in the 5th film. So yeah, I loved it. He was so all over the place, just chaotic, didn't give a shit, and I loved that about him.
I've not got as much to say about my favorite character, but like Neville Longbottom.
Neville. Yes.
Yeah, because what I love again about Harry Potter is like, obviously you've got Harry and Ron and Hermione, and you've got Dumbledore, and those characters are really, really vital to the series. Hagrid is vital, but actually you've got a lot of tiny characters that
do big things.
They do big things, and could you say they're vital or not? It's probably an argument like there, but actually Neville was so vital in this movie, even though his screen presence is like 10% of the movie or something like that. Not even 10%, probably far less than 10%. But he actually, like, Harry's really dismissive of him in the library and like snaps at him, and then he could have taken that so badly. Like some people would take that like,
yeah, he could have been like Ron and been like, piss off.
Yeah, piss off then. Because like Harry was being a bit, he was stressed. Harry was stressed. He was in the middle of like worrying about the next challenge that he had to face as part of the Triwizard Cup, and he sort of snaps at Neville, and he's like, "Look, Neville, unless you've got a herbal remedy for being able to breathe underwater like for 1 hour, then look, bugger off," kind of thing. And Neville's like, he could have just done, like you say, bugger off then, I'm off, like whatever. But Neville turned around and goes, actually, yeah, I do know of X, Y, and Z, whatever. And then what I liked was like they could sort of cut to the next day, and Neville's walking along going, actually, I haven't really, he sort of caveats it a little bit, going, look, just so you know, I haven't really looked into whether it works as well in salt water as
fresh water.
Fresh water. And like Harry's like, thanks, Neville. But then what I loved was also like they're all going in, and how Neville is really supportive, standing on the side. Him and the other characters, I've forgotten the other minor
Dean
characters.
and Fergus.
Yeah, so I've forgotten their names. Like, and I just thought how it's great that you've got this collection of sort of ancillary characters who every now and again will kind of rise up and go back down again. And I know Neville I can remember Neville rises up in the final film against.
Oh boy, does he ever!
Yeah, and like I have to say, like I like how Neville is real background, but every now and again he comes forward, and when he came forward in this film, it was really good. Like, and I just think he's sort of naturally clumsy, but actually people don't give him enough credit for the importance that he does bring to this world.
Right.
And I just thought when he stepped up in this film, it was actually quite an important part that he played. So, for me. That's why he's probably my favorite character of this film, just for just being so good at background, and actually for people not realizing how important he is. So,
one of my favorite scenes in this one is when Neville comes back from the dance in the morning, not that same night, but like in the morning, and he's got his shoes tied around his neck, and he's like, "I just got back. I just got back to the room. Like, what?" I'm like, yeah, Neville, you tell him.
But it's always those like quiet. They always say you always have to watch the quiet ones.
Yeah.
Like the quiet ones. Well, I was really quiet when I was a kid. Like they'd always, like I remember older people would always say to me, "You always have to watch the quiet ones." I'm like, thanks. like I'm not quiet now. Like
I was the
Anyway.
quiet one, and you definitely did have to watch me.
Anyway, so favorite magical item.
Ooh.
I'm just gonna quickly. I'll jump ahead only because it's just connected with Neville. The gillyweed.
Yeah,
so that whole scene I just said with Harry, I love the gillyweed,
Mm-hmm.
and like I just thought to myself, I wish I could find some gillyweed. Like, how cool!
What, you want to go swimming underwater for an hour?
Well, I don't like going underwater. It's not a preference of mine. But how cool would it be to have gillyweed and be able to swim, like, you know, a couple of meters below the water or whatever, you know, even if I don't know how chlorine would affect things if you were in a swimming pool. But
you got to talk to Neville about that.
yeah. But I love that whole thing where Harry flips up in the air, you know, shoots up in the air, does a flip and goes back down again. Neville missed that though because he turned away.
Yeah,
but
well, because he thought he killed Harry Potter.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, he's like, oh, I killed Harry Potter. But I love the gillyweed. I thought, what a great idea. And again, J.K. Rowling's mind to the minutiae of this world, like, you know, the Triwizard Cup, you know, obviously she created the base, she put in the basic stuff like the wands and all this kind of stuff, and she brought in some obvious things like werewolves in the previous film and that kind of stuff. But like the gillyweed, what a great idea. Like, you know, just she obviously created the tasks, and I'd love that. I can't remember his name now. The guy that Hermione dated.
Victor Crumb.
Yeah. He's like half shark. Like, I thought, I don't know what he had to become half shark. But I think the gillyweed's probably better than the half shark thing. So I definitely would say gillyweed was my favorite magical item of this movie.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the gillyweed, though, they actually did film underwater for a lot of that entire sequence. That was not just CGI. Like, they built an underwater tank. They had the actors underwater. They said that Harry logged the most, or Daniel logged the most underwater time at 42 minutes underwater. Wow. They had divers and stuff to keep with the air tanks so that they could stay underwater and submerged longer. So I imagine that whole scene at the lake was very tiresome to act out, especially since they had to be in an underwater tank for so long.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't be that keen on that.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite item?
Oh my god. Okay, so this is probably it might actually be my second favorite like magical item in the entire franchise, but the tents when they are at the Quidditch World Cup and they are camped out and everybody has like these tiny little tents. And when you walk inside the tent, it is massive on the inside. And it is so cool to me because I remember the very first time I watched this fourth film, like that was the way that Harry reacted, where he literally is standing there in awe and he's just like, I love magic. Like that is exactly how I felt when I first saw that entire sequence play out. I was like, there is no freaking way that all of them are going to fit in this tiny tent. Like, what the hell? And then as soon as he goes inside the tent, there's like rooms. It's not just a tent. It is like a mansion almost. Their tent is almost bigger than the entire Weasley house. And so I love the play like on spatial awareness and that kind of stuff that they do in this world. Like, I think it's just kind of so imaginative where it's like, yeah, they're camping out for a sporting event, which people do that all the time. Like people do that for Wimbledon. Like they camp out to get Wimbledon tickets. And it's like, it's got to be miserable, like camping out in this tent for 3 days to get tickets to this sporting event, you know? But like you walk inside that tent and you're like, hang on, this could actually be fun. So I love the tents. I love the tents. That's my favorite magical item in this film.
Very much like the TARDIS. So
I see. I've never watched Doctor Who, so I don't know anything about that phone booth.
Yeah, but you know that if you walk in the phone booth, it's massive in there.
Oh no, I did not know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Nope, I did not know that. I thought that you walked into the phone booth and it was a time machine, but maybe that's me confusing Bill and Ted.
No, it is a time machine, like space and time, and can end up on alien planets or in the past or whatever, future or whatever. But it's a huge it's not like a mansion huge, but I don't think they know how big the TARDIS is, because they only show you the main sort of control room, which is probably like maybe the size of my house or something. So you walk in this phone box and you sort of see the main control room, and it's like going in a house, but it's all one room with like a big control panel in the middle and that kind of thing. And then there are a couple of doors, but they never show you what's down any of these doors. Like, you know, I think maybe in one of the series they made a reference to, I think it might have been Amy Pond or something, having a bedroom down one of the corridors or something like that.
Okay.
So it's potentially spaceship big. But yeah, they only ever show you the main control room. So let's be honest, it's TV versus movie. So TV budget's a lot more limited than Harry Potter. So but yeah, no, I love stuff like that where you like, oh, that's a small tent, walk in the door, whoop, like huge mansion sized stuff going on here. All right, okay, so the movie itself, like what's your thoughts really on sort of the structure of the movie, and did you have any favorite scenes or anything like
that? The structure, I think this one really kind of gets down to business right away, and maybe it's because we don't start off at the Dursleys like we have before, and they kind of just jump straight into the action. It feels like this movie is packed from the very opening scene to the very end, like with content. It doesn't feel like they wasted much time in this film. I thought that as far as the writing, I think it felt more juvenile. Not necessarily like young, like the first two films felt young because all of the actors were still very young, but this one, again, to me, just this film feels like the film where everybody is going through that awkward puberty stage, and that aspect of it made all of the writing to me feel forced. Not all of it, but at some points the writing felt a bit forced, like the fight between, you know, Harry and Ron and how they're at odds for a lot of the film. Just kind of like the one-liners, like a lot of it just doesn't feel natural. So to me, sitting through the dialogue in this film, where the kids are concerned, it feels like a chore, which is why I say that to me, this film, it feels like the adults carry it, which is the first film in the franchise that feels that way. Like the kids always felt like they were in charge up until this one, and in this one it just felt like they had kind of lost the plot a bit, and so the adults had to be the ones to rein everybody in. So I really felt like we got to know the teachers and even like some of the ministry a bit better. Like there's a lot more characters from the ministry in this one than we've had in films before, so kind of expanding, which obviously it's going to play a really big part, the ministry, in the fifth film. But I like the structure. I like the way that the film elements flow. But as far as the writing, I think the writing is probably my biggest hang up with this one. It just doesn't feel as natural as the other films have felt so far.
I think with the scripts, like you say, I think things that stood out to me was just some of how Ron speaks, like, and I guess it's obviously from a script. And I guess I've never met anyone in real life who spoke the way Ron did to Hermione, and like, you know, oh, Hermione, you're a girl. Yes. Like, you know, kind of like, never met anyone. I guess I've never met anyone that clumsy in real life, and also how rude he is. Now, there probably are people that clumsy and rude out there in real life. And I don't know, just how he came across a lot of the time, like a bit sport bratish. Which is kind of weird considering his background is not, him and the Weasleys don't have a very spoiled background. So kind of, I don't know, get on board with it. And also Hermione, some of her lines as well, like, you know, off to bed, both of you. Like, I'm still a bit confused by that, like, because I've never met any girls of her age that would speak like that. And so, you know, even when I was that age, I don't remember anyone speaking like that. I don't know, some of their lines are very clumsily written, and I guess it kind of is a little bit like when we said about earlier, like, you know, writing, if I wrote Miles Morales as a 40-year-old, writing that of a 15-year-old black boy from Brooklyn. I've never been to Brooklyn. I've never been black. I have been 15. But like at 15, I was very quiet and shy. So my experience with Miles isn't particularly. I don't think he's shy, but like he obviously isn't like the sort of the coolest kid around, because obviously, you know, from what my experience of Miles in Spider-Verse and stuff like that, he's, I guess, just figuring life out. So my reflection there with Ron, you know, it very much feels like an adult's written out of a teenage characters, and not potentially done the research on how teenagers speak to each other. That's kind of probably how I would say. And I think it comes to you with the adults. Like, the adults are definitely stronger in this movie. And obviously you've got some very senior, you know, like Alan Rickman, you know, and there's very senior actors who very much carry this movie. Actually, that's probably a nice little jump into my favorite scene. Alan Rickman, who doesn't actually say a word in this scene.
The study hall scene.
The study hall scene is so good. Like, it's brilliant, this scene. Like how the sort of Harry and Ron and Hermione, they're chatting away. Hermione leaves at one point, and then I just love how he finally has enough and pulls up his sleeve and grabs them around the back of their head and shoves them down, but literally keeps walking past them. I think he may have said the odd line, but the study hall scene is so good. And I just saw the experience of someone like Alan Rickman in terms of acting versus someone like Daniel Radcliffe, who's clearly only been acting at that point for about 5 or 6 years. Now, again, this is obviously experience, but I would say the structure of the film, again, is done well because it's formula driven. You know, it's a year long through their study. I love the Tri-Wizard Cup. I think it's a great thing. It's a great addition to the world building. I just think the script isn't as strong when it comes to maybe the children.
Definitely.
And I could see, but the adults. But I do love the whole thing and how it pays off at the end. You know, the big sort of the grand finale, and you know, we get Voldemort's grand presence in. And I love how we spent 4 movies getting to that. You know, we've been teasing it along the way. And now Voldemort's finally here, but I love that we only have a small battle with Voldemort at the end, because obviously we've got to save Voldemort for later movies. And I think I would say I really did enjoy the movie, but more for the Tri-Wizard World Cup and sort of its world building, as opposed to like the script. Probably the children need a little bit more work. So
I just think it's writing, though. I don't think it's the kids acting that was bad, but I think that the children were poorly written in this film. As far as my favorite scene, I would definitely pick 2, and they both involve Dumbledore. The scene right after Harry's name gets spit out of the cup, and all of the champions get called to Dumbledore's office, and it almost feels like Dumbledore has forgotten himself, because he strolls into his office, actually more like storms into his office, and grabs Harry by the collar and is like, how did you do this? How did you put your name in the cup? What were you thinking? Like, he is so pissed that he forgets that he is talking to a child, and he is just so angry that cup spit out Harry Potter's name. And so to watch Dumbledore lose his cool, like, that was the first time we see him behave that way. But at the same time, like, it also shows you how passionate Dumbledore is about making sure that Harry gets what Harry needs to do, you know, to live up to the title that everybody expects of him. So I really love that sequence, because it just felt like frustration and anger took over, and Dumbledore just completely forgot about his stance as like headmaster and was just like about to slap the shit out of Harry Potter. So I love that sequence. And then there's a sequence later on when, after Harry looks through Dumbledore's memory, And Dumbledore says, dark and difficult times lie ahead, and soon we must all make the decision between what is easy or what's right and what is easy. And that is probably my favorite line in the entire franchise. Like, it's shit's about to get real, bro, and pretty soon you're gonna have to make the choice between what's right and what's easy. Like, I love that line so much, and I think this movie is the perfect point for it, because this movie, again, it was the first one to get the PG-13 rating, so the rating association took everything a bit more serious in this film, but like, it only gets worse from here. And so for that line to pop up at this point, it was just like, it's perfect. So but that goes back to the way that I feel, again, like the adults really nailed it in this film, whereas the kids were the ones that needed like a lot of the help. So it was nice for the kids to kind of get that little reality check in this film, and as the adults are the ones that are like, look, I mean, shit's getting serious. Like, I need you to take this seriously. Like, the adults can't be the only ones here that are taking this seriously. So I really, really kind of appreciated the fact that Dumbledore actually showed his frustration in this one.
I think to be honest, I love the character of Dumbledore. Like how he's kind of a big rooter for Harry, but like how he was like, did not expect Harry's name to come out of that cup.
Yes.
So you could see when the name comes out of the cup, how shocked and angry that they all are, all the teachers. Like, and even the students, like that, his name should not have come out of that cup. But obviously it's a Harry Potter film, of course it was coming out of that cup.
Yeah.
So I mean, not that any of them know they're in a franchise, like but yeah. Anyway, so what does it say is how would you rate this movie out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd give this one a 6.5.
Okay. I think I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay. All right. That's the highest rating so far that you've given.
Yeah, I think I went up to 7 so far. But yeah, I enjoyed the film, and just so I'm sort of generally happy with it. So
yeah, I mean, it's necessary, obviously, but
yeah. Okay, so we'll be continuing our march towards our 100th episode, and obviously next episode we'll be continuing Harry Potter. So come back. You can follow us on social media with Geeks Unleashed everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We are everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends. Well, have a good week. I'm off to play a game of Quidditch, and I've actually... Look at you. You got a golden snitch. I've got a golden snitch all ready to go. Oh, man. Gonna let this bad boy go in the park. And, oh, yeah, I forgot to show this, actually. Got my... I know podcast. This is not Harry Potter straws. Metal straws. Yeah, they are metal. Yeah. But anyway... Thanks for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. Yep. Say hello in the comments, do the rating thing, and we'll see you next week. Have a good week. Journey. And a good journey.